stay in your lane. Yeah, we get a little homie, you been getting some brain. Rapping about how you smoking weed like a chain, but I gotta be the one to throw the industry shade. Told you I've been fed up, get your bread up, you don't drop shit. Dropping so much fire, 2018, it's obnoxious. Put me on the 16, watch the numbers rise, just went from the bubble to the top.
You are now tuned into the Dads Who Lift podcast. You have your host, Tyler Gaeta, and I have co-host here with me,
Jonathan Baumgartner.
All right, guys, I'm going to start off with the intro this time. We do this shit for free. Please give us a like, share, 5-star review. I don't want to run ads. I don't want to do paid ads. I hate that shit when I listen to podcasts and there's ads. So please share it on Instagram, share it on Facebook, share it on Apple, Apple Podcasts, Apple iTunes, share it on Spotify, share it on fucking YouTube. Tell a friend, they tell a friend, they tell a friend. That's how we grow this thing, guys. So we're giving you value for free. If you got any value out of this, change your perspective, got to laugh, got to smile, whatever. Please give us a like, share, 5-star review. We really appreciate it. We are on Instagram as Dads Who Lift Apparel. I almost said official, which is the old one. We're on Instagram as Dads Who Lift Apparel. Facebook is Dads Who Lift Apparel. We have a Shopify store, a website with all of our apparel, hats, hoodies, t-shirts, tanks, badass apparel, OG line, and the new line. That's www.dadswholifapparel.com. We also have a Facebook group, and this is a group on Facebook of 54,000 like-minded dads trying to be their best selves and stay fit. That's something that interests you. Check that out on Facebook, and that is a group called Dads Who Lift Official. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
We were just talking a little pre-podcast about John maybe adding to his tribe.
Yeah, man. I know one of my purposes in life is to be a father. Like, that's just... it's in me. I love being a dad. I have a little man of my own. He's getting ready to be 5. Talked about it last time. The woman I'm with now, I mean, I definitely view her as a life partner, just kind of more mature myself and in that aspect. And we've always told, she has a daughter who's going to be almost 12. So we got kind of a spread there, but Bella. Yep. So having one together, just kind of.
And Brooks just turned 4, right?
He's turning 5 in May. So 5, Bella's almost 12 and he's almost 5. So, I don't know, going to be 33 this year. We're getting old, but.
Dude, I just turned 33.
Add 18 years to that. So that's put me at, 51, retired, going to college for a little, whoever,
Yeah.
55. I'm thinking, I don't know. Do I want to ride this train until I'm 55? Because I got plans to retire when I'm earlier than that for sure.
I only have one, right? I've got Braden. He's 11 years old. He'll be 12 in September. Holy shit. I'm getting old. Just turned 33. But I want more, man. Yeah. I want at least one more. I want to have a little girl. And I don't give a fuck because I'm with you. I feel like my life purpose, one of my main purposes of being here is being a father and raising a child. And I'm like, it's so cool to watch your kid grow. And it's so cool to think of how much better he's going to be than I am.
Right.
Like all these wild dreams and goals that I'm pursuing and crushing and going after. And like, I know what my life's going to be, and it's going to be fucking amazing. It is amazing now. Like I enjoy the process. I trust the process, but it's like where I'm going is even better. But to think of like, man, my son has been raised in a growth-minded home.
Right.
Where I was not.
Right.
Like I had to figure this shit out as an adult, this stuff that he's known since a child. And everybody has their own struggle. Everybody has to find their own way. I'm sure it's not all going to be fucking perfect for him either. And I'm obviously not a perfect father. Right. So I've fucked up a lot of things that he's going to have to figure out when he gets older too, just like I did.
Real life.
But I've done the best that I can. And I'm really excited because I know that he has the tools to be even better than me. So it's like, man, if I'm like at a 10X, like he's going to be at 100X. And that's so cool to think of.
Exciting.
And
hell yeah.
It is, man. It really is. And like that gives me joy. And, but to think about being a dad, like, do I want, like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't even really want to retire. Like, I want to get to a point. Dad. I want to get to a point to where, my life is set up so much to where like I'm living my passion. I love my job. Right. I love my dream. I'm coaching guys. I'm helping guys. I'm helping people every day. And I love that. And I don't ever stop doing it. Maybe I work a little bit less than normal.
Right.
But I don't ever really like, I don't have this in my head of like, oh, I'm going to retire at 55 and go sit on the beach every day because dude, I'll get tired of the beach. I think as a 3 or 4 days.
Entrepreneur,
like
I go on retirement.
I go on trips and I'll take like a week-long trip.
Right.
And by day 4, I'm ready to go home and get back to work.
Kind of antsy. Yep.
Yeah. for me, like, it depends on how my travel is. If I have like 2 days of like long travel in there, to me, like 5 or 6 days is my sweet spot. And
So
after
good,
that, I'm ready to fucking get back.
good
You
point.
know?
Thanks for correcting me. I'm gonna retire from my vocabulary because retirement to me is freedom.
Yeah.
So I plan to be free a lot earlier than 55, and freedom being able to go and help and do things that I am passionate about.
Yeah.
Coaching, helping people, being a service to people.
Even with that though, man, like I feel you because I feel the exact same way of what you just said of like, holy shit, I'm 33. So say I don't have another child till 34 or 35. And then like 18 years on top of that, I'm going to be in my 50s when he graduates high school. Like I get it. But at the same point in time, I feel like when I am living that passion, that lifestyle, like I can do that with a child. And there's
Right.
no greater, like I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it without a child. Like I'm gonna be bored as fuck when my kids are gone and grown.
There's something that
and
being in
you
that
know,
parent zone. I mean, it just keeps you. Accountability 24/7, because that little human you created is looking up to you, learning from you every single day. And for me, just knowing that in the back of my mind, it helps keep me pushing me better. I want to be better every day for my son. I want to be a little bit better, a little
Right.
bit better educated, a little bit better off, a little bit more stable, emotionally controlled. Like I want to be just better every single day in every area because he's learning from me. And amen on being growth minded and Braden being able to be raised around that way of thinking. And there's something to be said about that, because even just the other day I was listening to Grant Cardone. It said something about how do you talk to your kids about money, and something as simple as not trading like time for money, but we collect money. You can't make money. I think that's what he said. You can't make it. That's illegal. Printing money is illegal. The feds can only do that.
Right.
But you can collect money. So even having a conversation of, hey son, how are you going to collect money when you get older? Not that you have to just go and trade time for it, but how are you going to collect money, in that mindset of being a growth minded person and having a different way of thinking about life. I'm just excited to be able to present that to my son like you've done from the beginning, and in hopes that, hey, he can take it and run with it a lot sooner than I did and watch his life, like you said, 100 times X. It better 120
dude,
times
I saw
X.
that video that you posted the other day of your boy like singing the
Oh,
ant, the bug
God.
and the bee. Oh my God, he's so cute.
Dude,
It is insane.
I had this little thing that I have a heart box, and I've said this before, and I think everyone, you need to just make a little special spot in your heart. Those are the moments that I just take and I'll just tune everything out for 5-10 minutes and be present in that moment. He got out of school and he had a great day, and 6 months ago, it was Avengers and Power Rangers and beating dad up every 20 seconds. But now we've been watching Greatest Showman and Sing and Kanta, and he's like getting into some music and stuff, and he's singing at class, and it's helping his memory. So we're doing lots of songs and stuff to help him sing and remember and build his memory. And he hops in the truck and he's like, I learned a song today. And I'm like, well, tell me the song. So he sings me that song, and I'm like, that's just awesome, man. It's one of those moments I locked away. And I figured, like, I think the post was, hey, in case you forgot to smile today, here you go.
Yeah,
everyone needs a smile. And it's just those little moments.
I will say, man, like, I am not a perfect father. I strive to do better than I was raised, and I strive to do the best that I can every day. But I know, so like the way I see it is like, I wasn't raised perfect. I know that my parents and my dad did the best that he could too. So I'm not even mad about it. I'm not a victim. But I know that I wasn't raised perfect. But like, it's our job as adults to try to break those generational cycles.
Fact.
Because he wasn't raised perfect either, and that's why he raised me the way he raised me. And so I'm trying my best to break that generational cycle with my son, so it doesn't continue on. And I know that there's a lot of times where I've fallen short and I've not broken that generational cycle. So there's been a lot of things that I had to figure out as an adult and fix mentally and internally because of the way
Mhm.
that I was raised. And I know that, as shitty as it sounds, as shitty as it is to tell you guys, like, I know my son's gonna have some of that same stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
That's reality.
But I've done the best that I can to change that, and I'm still trying to do the best that I can to change that. And the hard truth of it is like, I had my son at 21, and it took me years to figure this shit out. So the first few years, I wasn't as good of a dad as I am now.
Right.
Now I praise myself on being a pretty good fucking father. Nobody's perfect, but I'm a pretty good fucking dad. But I wasn't always a pretty good fucking dad. There's definitely the first few years of my son's life where I raised him a lot like I was raised, and I just worked 24/7, and that was my focus. And that shit's not good. So I just want to clear the air there because I'm not trying to act like this perfect fucking dad. And I really want to be transparent with everybody,
Right.
especially on this show, and just be open and honest with everybody. But the whole point is that we do our best every day to break those generational cycles that we have from our parents pass on to us, and we try to break that chain, passing it on to our children, to try to be the best versions of ourselves for them, so they can be the best versions of themselves. And then in turn, hopefully they continue to even work on that,
Right.
hone on them, and they break that chain even more moving forward. You know, I was talking to my cousin last week. I went and got my haircut before I headed went out to the Lions Not Sheep event last weekend that I went to with Alex Urbine, the mastermind, and Sean Whalen. But you know, we were kind of talking about this stuff, and she's like, everybody, I don't care who you are, everybody has something from childhood that they have to unlearn as an adult.
Fact.
Everybody. Like, I don't care if you were raised in the most loving, caring, best household, best parents in the world. Everybody has something that they learned, some kind of childhood trauma that they have to either unlearn or figure out how to deal with as an adult. And quite frankly, I don't know that I really even, you know, what happened to us as children isn't really like in our control when we're children. It's a
Right.
lot of that shit's out of our control. Not in a victim way. It's just the reality of it. But I don't even like really regret. I don't know that I really even regret it or would change it if I could, because all of what I went through bred me into or grew me into who I am now.
Right.
And it gave me the strength and the fortitude that I have now to be. I'm just different than most people. Like, I'm different than 99% of the people out there, which is what allows me to be in the 1%, you know? And it's attributed a lot to, you know, mental toughness and mental growth that I've had to have because of the things that I dealt with when I was a kid, not having a great upbringing. So, it's wild to think about that
So
stuff and how it all comes all the way around.
you said generational, like breaking that generational thing. I totally understand that. Even more so now as I'm unlearning a lot of things. And I had great parents that loved me and did the best they could. Times change, society changes. I think we as adults need to be aware of that too and making the appropriate decisions for our kids in current times. But one of your coaches, Ed Milet, a buddy of mine, sent me a video the other day, and it was him talking about being the one. Every family has one. Every lineage has one. One person that breaks the cycle becomes famous, rich, wealthy, successful, better. You- and he's like, I'm the one. And I'm like, fired me up. Hell yeah, I'm trying to be the one. I'm going to be the one. I'm working on it every day because of the way I think. And
I am the one.
I am the one. And so when I heard that video, I'm like, thanks, bro, for sending me this because that was clutch. I saved the video. Now I listen to it, once a week, and I'm like, I'm the one. What does it take for me to be that one, to break the generation? What is it? And you talked about this last time. What does it take doing the things that the person already has that you want, and the life that you want, and the things that you want? So again, that video, and I saw it, and I thought of our podcast last week. I'm like, I got to listen to this every Sunday, get my mind right before I go to bed and wake up Monday. I'm the one. So what do I got to do this week to be the one, to change the generation in my family, and to be that for my son, for my next child, for my grandkids, for great grandkids, and legacy. I mean, I think of legacy and building a legacy and changing the lineage. So our topic, you can roll right into it. I think it ties in.
This wasn't even the topic, but it just kind of freeform spitballed into this, and it's been great. So I haven't stopped it. But the topic that we actually have planned for this podcast, excuse me, is how success is not linear. And a lot of people think that success is linear. Like, they think that, like, hey, you start here and it's a constant uphill until you get to this point over here, right? Like, you look at a chart and it's like, okay, we're here at the bottom right now, but I'm starting. So, like, every single day I'm going to go up a little bit, and then I'll finally get to this success point, the success marker where I made it,
Right.
And it's like a straight, like slow sometimes, but just straight uphill line. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. And this is what um this is what stops most people from continuing to go and actually reaching their point of success, is that it's not linear. What it looks more like is a stock market chart.
Hell yeah.
Ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs, peaks and valleys, and that's how it goes. And so what happens is most of the time when people start off on a journey of success or something they want to do, whether it be money, business, even relationships, sports, anything that really matters to them of greatness that they want to achieve, they start off on this path, right? And they start taking action. And usually at first we do get a little uphill, right? We do get a little win, right? And those wins carry us. But what happens is sooner than later, we'll get a fucking crash. Like, maybe I start a business and I started it and holy shit, I made some sales. Like everything's going good. I made sales, I made sales, I made sales. My sales are growing, they're growing, they're growing. I had, $100 my first week on the side hustle and then $500 my second week. And then holy shit, I did $1,000 my third week. And then my fourth week, I didn't make any fucking sales. And it drops all the way down to nothing. And that's when most people stop.
Mm-hmm.
And
check.
yeah, it's a gut check, right? It's like, holy fuck, like what just happened, And that's the reality of it, is that does happen. But if you stick to it and you continue on the path, and not only like, I'll take that a step further, not only continue on the path, but learn from your path, like fail forward. I've been saying a lot lately, fail forward. And again, I don't believe in failure as long as you learn from it and grow and move forward and make changes. And it's not failure in me. And that's what that's to me. And that's what fail forward means. But if you fail forward and say, okay, why did it drop this week? What's going on? What can I do? How can I pivot? How can I
dig in?
Change? How can I change course? How can I do something else? How can I hit this from a different way and get it back up? Right. But the whole point is that you don't ever stop, because what might happen, and sometimes the shit just happens. Sometimes there is no rhyme or reason. Sometimes, you'll get a fall off and it drops that week and you just continue, you stay consistent and continue doing exactly what you were doing before. And then in 2 weeks, it doubles, like more than you've ever had, like just takes off. I mean, sometimes shit just works out that way. And, I don't know how to explain this without people actually seeing it on a chart, but someone in the mastermind I was at last weekend at Lions Not Sheep with Alex Urban and Sean Whalen, one of the speakers had actually put this up on a chart, and they drew the linear, right, where everybody can picture just like, hey, I'm starting at the bottom and it goes up at a diagonal, constantly going up to this other point, right? And they said this is how most people think it is. And then they drew a bunch of squiggly lines over that linear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over that linear of ups and downs, right? Peaks and valleys. Like, this is how it really is. But what you'll find, and this is really cool, is if you can picture that first line that's going up diagonally, like steadily all the way to your success point, and then you picture the peaks and valleys drawn over that line, at every point in time, you're hitting that steady line at some point, even though you're going up and down. Throughout your course, you're hitting that line. And that's what you need to look at, because even though sometimes you're above it, sometimes you're below it, as long as you're still hitting that line and you're still increasing at time throughout the given time period to that point of success, then you're still winning. And one more thing I want to say before I throw it over to John is like, that fucking, be very careful living in a, I've said a success or success point a lot in this podcast because it's easy to show, like, people can picture that, right?
Right.
On what I'm talking about with linear and peaks and valleys. But be very careful of your success point, because there isn't really a success point, right? You may have in your head, like, once I get here, I'll be successful. But I'm going to tell you, by the time you get to that point, it'll have changed.
Fact. 100%.
So be very careful of that and weary of that you're not just putting all of your happiness or joy or success or progress into hitting that point, because a lot of the time, by the time you actually hit that point, you don't even realize you've hit that point because it's already moved. So that's why it's so important to find happiness and trust the process along the way, trust the growth, enjoy the process, and love those little wins. So every time you get a little win along the way, praise that shit. And I'm not saying, like, go take a vacation or go grab a dinner or go get a beer or go get cake, but just note it to yourself. Like, okay, that was a little win. Now let's get back to work. Okay, we won there. That was good. Now let's get back to work, because we always have work to do. And another thing I want to say about this topic is, man, in life, even without success talk or success driven or anything like that, life is this same exact way. Life is full of ups and downs. One thing that I was told by a mentor like 10 years ago that I still think about even today, is that, like, don't get hung up on the ups or the downs, because anytime you're up, like anytime you're at a peak, get ready because you're coming down soon. And anytime you're at a low, anytime you're on a down, it's not going to last forever. So just know that, don't get lost in that down. Know that, hey, better times are coming, because at some point there will be an up, right? So when I'm up at the top, don't get stuck in that top up, because hey, eventually things are going to drop back down a little bit. And if you're stuck in that cloud 9 peak top and then things crush down, it's going to fucking murder you. It's going to feel like you just fucking lost, like, right? Like you're a failure, right? But no, like, hey, I'm going to enjoy this while it's here. This is a fucking win. I'm at the top. I'm going to enjoy this while it's here. At some point, it's going to drop a little bit, but that's okay. I'm going to ride that down too. I'm going to use that as growth. I'm going to I'm going to have that help mold me and shape me into a better human being.
Yep.
And then when I'm at that bottom again, or that low, I know that this too will pass, and that I'm using this right now to shape me, to define me, to make me stronger, to make me better.
Right.
And I'm pivoting, and then eventually it's going to go back up. Right. So that's how life is with every single thing that we do, man. Happiness, mental health, even fitness. Like, you never have, when you're thinking about your fitness journey, you never have, unless you're on running a lot of fucking gear during your time, like, you never have weeks where it's like, man, every fucking week I'm hitting a PR, you know?
Right.
Sometimes you do, usually when guys are running a lot of gear, but say you're natural, like, there's going to be weeks where it's like, oh shit, I just didn't feel it today.
Right.
And like, damn, shit was heavy as fuck today. Man, that lift was junk, and then you come in the next day, it's like, holy fuck, man, I hit a PR on bench, right? Things are always up and down. So success is not linear. And the biggest thing that I want to say to conclude what I'm going to say on my part here is, like, just know that it's not linear, because the only way that we can fail in this regard is when we set our expectations up to set us up for failure. And if I have an expectation that I think that it's going to be linear all the way through and steady growth all the way through, and I'm not expecting these highs and lows along the way, I'm setting myself up for failure. And the time I get that first low, it's going to fucking crush me mentally, and I'm going to stop, and I'm going to hate my life, and I'm not going to continue going. But if I can expect, like, hey man, at some point I'm going to get to this point. There's going to be ups and downs along the way. I'm going to have highs where I did shit great. I'm going to have lows where I didn't do shit great. And then I got to learn from those and pivot and change and use it to grow and move forward. But hey, I'm always going to move forward. And eventually I will get to this point. That's a lot more realistic mindset to have. And you're with that, you are enjoying the process. You're not setting yourself up for an expectation that's going to set you up for failure.
A lot of good nuggets in there. Couple from last week, we talked about trying to plan everything perfectly, right?
Yep.
That is your linear thought process. That is, if you're trying to plan everything perfectly, that's what you're doing, and you're wasting time because it's not linear. You can plan and try to have this perfect, everything's going to go perfectly and it's going to just explode and never be rough or bad. It's not linear at all. The book, The Compound Effect, is a good book. And it teaches you the principle of doing little things right consistently over a long period of time. That is where you see the growth. That is where you see
100%.
And the analogy, everybody knows it. If you double a penny a day, or would you take a couple mil cash? If you double your penny a day for 31 days, you have more money after 31 days than taking the 2 or 3 mil right up front. That is the same with being in this mindset of just knowing I'm going to continue to work on my communication every single day. I'm going to fail. I'm not going to communicate to my girlfriend right, and she's going to get upset. I'm going to put my foot in my mouth, or I'm going to, use the wrong tone with my boss. I'm frustrated or whatever. Those are the downs that we're talking about. The compound effect says, well, it's okay to have those little setbacks, but just be conscious and intentionally every day working on the same thing. And again, you're going to do that graph. So point A, point B. It's going to be up, down, up, down, up, down. And I like how you visualize, you crossed that line at some point. No matter what.
Cross it a bunch of times.
So the end result, you're going to cross that line and hit that point, but it's not going to be as you planned. It's not going to go exactly as you look like. And we talked about that last week. You can't plan everything out perfectly, but living by faith, knowing that, hey, consistently doing the right thing, taking the right actions is going to lead to massive results in the end by doing it consistently over a period of time. That's where the real growth comes in. And in being an entrepreneur, we talked about being empaths, being very much in tune with our emotions, our feelings, just vibes and energy and sensing it. My biggest struggle, and I'm still learning this as trying to become an entrepreneur and having that mindset and in life and being growth minded, recognizing better when I am at a high so I can start preparing
Yes, that's
earlier
what I was
for
talking
that
about.
low.
Yep.
Like when I'm like, man, I'm fucking killing it. I'm the fucking man. I like, hell yeah. Like I have that energy and I know everything is going right. I got to be more conscious and start saying, okay, this is sweet. How do I maximize my results right now in this moment? Because right now I cannot go wrong. Everything goes right. I better capitalize on everything I can right now, because what's going to happen, I'm going to crash. And if I know that it's coming, again, being intentional, evaluating your power circle list, doing those things every day is propelling you continuously. And being in the down moments, for me, everyone's going to go through. You're going to get sad, depressed, upset, being kicking yourselves, having that victim mentality. That's fine. We're not perfect. We experience all of that the same as everybody else. I think we get better and better over time, learning how to kick ourselves in the ass and stop being the victim, or say, hey, woe is me, poor me, but this is life. I'm not going to be a victim. I'm not going to take a loss. I'm going to figure out how to take this low moment and turn it into a win somehow, some way, some positive. Pivot, adjust, take one thing and turn it into a good out of that low moment. So that way, next time when you're coming up on a low, maybe you'll remember, hey, this happened to me last time, and make sure I don't do this time. And when you're in the low, again, the greatest thing you can do is just know the high point is coming. And ride out the low, stay focused. That's, for me, that's when I really have to dig in. That's when I'm low, I'm like, okay, I got to dig in now. Now is the absolute most crucial time for me, so I can get back on that trend and that growing pattern, and not stay stuck in the funk. Because people, once you get down, again, that first gut
It's
check,
hard to get out sometimes.
It's definitely hard. So limit your time in that low area. Again, there's outside things you can't control. You don't know the season, but being aware of the season, having an understanding of what's going on, the things you can control, the things that you can work on, will help eliminate tons of stress, tons of that negative energy, by taking back some of the control. Like, yeah, this is a season I can't control. I'm down and out. I lost money, whatever it was you're doing. Taking that control of what you can focus on and move forward is going to give you peace of mind and give you a better positive energy towards getting back towards your high.
Yeah, and I want to throw in too, something I was thinking of is like sometimes you start a company and you get lucky and things work out right, or if you did, things just go your way, and the profit is linear, right? Sometimes you are always going up and up and up and up and up, and that's great. But at any point in time, growth is not linear and success is not linear. Meaning, even if you start a company, everything went perfect, and it does happen from time to time where it's like, holy shit, we started here and we've had growth every single year. Every single month we've grown, right? Like that's great. But I guarantee you, for the people running that company and the CEOs, their day-to-day life and what they've done to get that company to grow every single month has not been linear. I guarantee you they've had struggles that they've had to overcome. I guarantee you that their mindset and their personal growth and their even business growth and running that company has been up and down, up and down, up and down. Now, if they're really good at capitalizing on those high moments like you talked about, and then using those low moments to pivot fast, react fast, pivot fast, and change and use them to grow, then yeah, maybe the company does continue to go up all the time. But it doesn't always happen that way, right? It can happen that way, but it doesn't always happen that way. But the point is that with any growth that I have, with anything in life, with any success that I ever have, I know that there's always going to be highs and lows. And I think in conclusion, to wrap this up, I think the biggest thing is don't get stuck in either, and capitalize as much as you can on those highs. Like milk it for everything that you can. If man, shit's going great right now, money's coming in, everything's going perfect. How can I make sure that I'm being 100% efficient with this time, and this energy and this drive and this momentum and this good time? How can I capitalize the most on this? Right. And then something happens, this happens, you got a problem, an employee quits, you have to fire a guy, something happens, you drop down, you crash a little bit. And the biggest point in there is like, just like John said, don't sit in that. No, don't lose yourself in that. Don't sit in that. Don't get down on yourself. Know that, hey, this is a moment of value. This is not
Right.
a moment of deprivation or um, a weakness. This is a moment of value that I can use to grow and make myself, my business,
Yep.
my family, whatever I'm doing, whatever the goal is, to make it better. To where I can say, okay, what happened in this time for it to drop? How can I change? How can I learn from this and do things a little bit differently to make it better moving forward? Or sometimes shit just drops and you didn't do anything, right? Sometimes you can't figure out why it happened. Either way, you sit there and say, okay, in this time, how can I grow? How can I capitalize on this the most? How can I take this, what I'm feeling, this fucking gut check, as you called it, or this pain or this anxiety or this fear that, holy fuck, I'm a loser and
Mhm.
I'm not going to make it. My company's not going to make it. People don't want my product. I'm not good enough. Right. How can I take that and use that to fuel me to be better and to dig in deeper and to grow more so that I can get back to that peak, right? So that I can get back to that high and so that I continue moving forward. And that's the biggest thing. Again, don't set yourself up for failure with expectations. No, going into anything, there's going to be highs and lows. And when we can have a realistic expectation, then it's a lot easier to deal with those things and capitalize on those moments and pivot on the lows and use them as learning tools and be better and move forward. Right. And again, know that although it is good to have a goal of success, like I do as well, I know because I've been doing this for 13 years that by the time I reach that goal, it's going to change. And most of the times I don't even realize it. Right. Most of the time, it's not until I look back like a few months or 6 months and I say, oh, holy fuck, man, that was my goal like a year ago. And we have surpassed the fuck out of
Right.
that.
Right.
Like most of the time I don't even realize it because my goals are changing so much. Most of the time you hit them and then you don't even realize it because they've already changed. So where that can get dangerous is like always I always want more out of myself, and that's okay. I always I use that as my fuel to always be better, and that's okay. But you also have to have some wins to keep you going along the way. So you can't always change your end point, change your goal, and then you never have any wins, and you always feel like you're behind the ball or you're losing. Right? You have to trust that process, and you have to find joy in that process, and you have to use every single little win that you have. And again, it's not like, hey, let's go get beers, right? Because we still have work to do. We're not where we want to be. We got to use every day and capitalize every day to grow and be our best selves. But it's like, hey, man, I'm going to give myself a little pat on the back
Right.
now, on the back right now, right? Like
It's
I
important.
did fucking good. Like I hit this goal. The company hit this goal. My guys sold a job. Like I'm going to give ourselves a little pat on the back right now. And something that's really important, even outside, if you're talking about business wise, even outside of patting yourself on the back, is making sure that your team
100%.
feels those little wins too. Making sure that your team gets those pats on the back. Making sure that your team knows that you're proud of them. Every single time that we have a morning meeting, there's usually always something negative that needs to be addressed, but I always start the meeting out with positive, with praise, no matter what, no matter how shitty the negative thing is. I always start the meeting out with whatever good is going on. Hey guys, I've seen you guys have done this, and this. You guys have come together as a team and done this, and these things are going better than they ever have. Right? I just want to let you guys know that I see this. I'm really proud of you guys for this. Now we have this thing over here that we have to address, and this is what we need to grow on and be better on, right? So just make sure that we're using those things to grow and become better, and make sure that you and your team and everybody with you, whether it's your family, your team, whoever's with you along this ride of success or growth, knows that there's little wins along the way too. And again,
Right.
it's not so much of like, oh shit, we won, we beat it, we're done, or like, oh, let's go celebrate. But it's just like, hey man, I did good there. I'm going to make sure that I know that I did good there. Now, how can we continue moving forward and grow and become better? Right. And that's how you trust the process, find joy in the process and
Yep.
continue moving, because again, that end result is never going to be, it's not stationary. It's always changing. You got anything else you want to add to conclude?
Man, I like that. Just reward yourself at milestones. We talked about setting up milestones or goals. And it's again not patting yourself every day on the back, but hey, like one of our big goals this year was to pay off all of our debt.
Yep.
Like be debt free.
Yep.
I told her we need to plan a trip because we're debt free.
Yep.
Not as like an extravagant, lavish trip, but hey, we were disciplined. We didn't go hard all year. We saved a bunch of money. I mean, talking 10 grand in debt and credit
Yeah.
cards, just random stuff that we had. And I know for a fact that, hey, this is just one milestone in my bigger plan of, hey, debt free, buy houses, buy, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
This is a milestone. We need to reward ourselves. So that way, the next milestone that we set out for, we keep in mind, hey, when we hit that, it's going to be fun. We're having enjoyment. In between then, fucking go. Get the shit done. And that's how I am. I go hard. So I like trips. I'm like you, dude. I will fucking go hard. And my girlfriend says all the time, you need to slow down. I'm like, well, you just do what you got to do, but I'm going hard because this is me. It's how I operate.
Yeah.
I know, like right now, I have the energy. I'm in and up. I got to go. I got to keep pushing because when my low comes, that's, hey, give me some time. I got to figure it out. So again, definitely reward yourself at the milestones. Not every day. Don't get big on your ego, but you set a goal and it's like, hey, this is mile step 1. Definitely a little pat on the back. Treat yourself. That way you understand the reward system. Everybody does good on a reward system. Hey, my goal may take me 5 years, but every year I'm hitting a milestone. I'm going to reward myself. That way I keep on the process.
Deal is if you don't give yourself these little rewards and the end goal always changes, then you're going to lose yourself in the process, right? You're going to lose yourself in you, and then you never have any wins, which means that like you feel like a failure all the time. And somebody that feels like a failure all the time is never going to keep growing. It's never going to keep going, right? You're just going to quit at some point. Like, what's the point if you never get any wins? Like, what's the point? You're just like, oh shit, I've been doing this 3 years. I haven't got one win. Like, fuck this, I'm done.
All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Exactly. So I'll leave it at that. This has been the Dads Who Live podcast, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Again, we do this shit for free, guys. Please give us a like, share, 5-star review, share it on Apple, iTunes, Apple Music, share it on YouTube, share it on Facebook, Instagram. You tell a friend, they tell a friend, they tell a friend. That's how we grow this thing. If we added any value to you, we do this shit for free. If we added value, tell a friend, they tell a friend. That's how we grow this thing organically. You can catch us on Instagram as Dads Who Lift Apparel, Facebook Dads Who Lift Apparel. We have a website with the badass apparel, www.dadsliftapparel.com. Yeah, dadsliftapparel.com. And we have a Facebook group called Dads Who Lift Official. Again, that's a Facebook group of 54,000 like-minded guys trying to be the best selves and stay fit at the same time. If that's something that interests you, check that out. Again, that's a group on Facebook. And that group is going to be getting an overhaul probably this week, very soon. Joel and I are working on some ideas right now to kind of overhaul this group and kick out some of the fucking dead weight, we'll just say. We want to make sure that it's a really good growth-minded group of dads. Growth-minded for sure. And we want to cut out a lot of the losers. We don't, if you're not growth-minded, you have no place in our group. So that's something to check out. Again, guys, thanks for tuning in. This has been the Dads Who Live podcast. Growth is not linear. So just know that. Set yourself up for success, not failure.
They told me that like when I get cocky, ain't it funny how they think they can stop me? Try to be me, but I'm so sorry you not me. Try to be me.